Alright, so I'm going to pick up the experiment where Heather left off. So we're at the essential question. Our essential question for this experiment is, how do properties of a liquid change when it is mixed with other substances? You will be finding that out as you conduct the experiment later on in the lesson. So now we're going to explore. The teacher will in advance prepare 5 specific salt solutions. In small groups, the students will layer each solution using a straw to create a rainbow. The students will observe what occurs between solutions and record their observations. Mackenzie will be taking you through that experiment shortly after we finish with the PowerPoint. So let's move on down. Alright, so for our explain portion, the teacher will guide a discussion about the data collected from the experiment. The teacher will define the vocabulary words density, solution, solute and solvent, miscible, saturation point, and homogeneous. The teacher will also go over the measurements of salt in relation to the food dye in the experiment. Here I'm just going to explain the vocabulary words briefly. We have density, which is the degree of consistency measured by the quantity of mass per unit of volume. Then we have a solution, which is a liquid mixture in which the minor component, the solute, is uniformly distributed within the major component, which is the solvent. You will be seeing this take place as you conduct this experiment later on in the day, but just be sure to look out for which one is the solution, or which one is the solute, and which one is the solvent. They are very different, and that is very important for you to know and a takeaway from this lesson. Then we have miscible, which means the forming a homogeneous mixture when added together, which is what you will be doing when you create the liquid rainbow. Then we have saturated, which means holding as much water or moisture as can be absorbed, thoroughly soaked. Then homogeneous means consisting of parts of all the same kind. Alright, so now we're going to move on to elaborate. The teacher can extend the lesson by leading a discussion of asking students to make predictions of how different solubles may affect the experiment. Potential solubles may include sugar, baking soda, or Epsom salt. Today we are using like normal table salt, but you could substitute the table salt from this experiment for Epsom salt, or even baking soda, but that would be a wild reaction that we would not want to happen in the classroom. So the teacher can also extend the lesson by guiding and asking questions using real-world applications, such as, are icebergs more dense or less dense than salt water? And can you predict if sugar is more soluble than salt or less? Why do you think this to be true? So you'll go into all of these questions with the experiment. They're just worded a little different, but the principle is still the same. Which one is more dense, which is less dense, that will affect how your rainbow turns out with your straw when you do that experiment in just a few minutes. Alright, now we're going to evaluate. The students will be evaluated by their completion of the experiment and their answers to the open response questions. The students will also be evaluated by their participation and interaction with other students during the experiment. So this is a great experiment for you to be able to bounce ideas off of each other. Which one you believe is more dense, the person next to you might believe that it is less dense. So that's a great way to get collaborative thinking started through this experiment. Students will also show extensive knowledge of density and how it affects a liquid. Let's see. All right, that completes my portion of the lesson. Now I'll turn it over to Mackenzie to complete the experiment with you guys. Thanks.